What's happening, everybody? So we're 2 days away from the big fight between the Big Bang Zhang versus the Bronze Bomber Deontay Wilder. Now, it doesn't take a genius to suggest that this is probably going to be a very explosive fight between two dynamite punchers who can knock anybody out with a single punch. However, we're talking about two dynamite punchers with both quite glaring flaws, which makes this a very, very exciting fight. I don't anticipate a boring chess match. I anticipate a knockout here. So if we look at Big Bang Zhang, he's definitely the more well-schooled fighter. He's got the fundamentals down sound. He's very technically good. He's got a very good straight left hand and a good right hook as well, which we saw him knock out Joe Joyce with. His footwork is much more tidy, obviously, than Deontay Wilder. I mean, let's be honest, most people's are. But he, for me, is the much more accomplished fighter in terms of boxing skills, which I think is going to be important in this fight, and we'll talk about that later. Zhang is 40 or 41, I think he is. He doesn't have a very good gas tank at all. We all know about his stamina going into the later rounds. It is really, really poor. I mean, him being 41 doesn't help. But we saw him fade against Hrgovic, and we also saw him fade against Joseph Parker. So that works very much against him, against the fighter who will probably drag him into a longer fight. But I don't think that Deontay Wilder is that guy. But it is something to watch out for. He does definitely fade in fights. Now, if we look at Deontay Wilder, now we all know about Wilder's right hand. It gets him out of trouble so many times. We've seen him losing the whole fight against Luis Ortiz in that second fight. And then he come out and pull out a right hand from nowhere and knocked him clean out. Same with Tyson Fury in the first fight. He was getting beaten up. He was getting embarrassed. I wouldn't say beaten up the whole fight. Fury was slipping and sliding. But in the 12th round, he pulled out that right hand, followed by a left hook, and Fury was down. And we all know that he got up, but that was a very, very heavy knockdown. Wilder is notorious for having really bad footwork. Doesn't have good boxing fundamentals. His defense is poor. His head is always there to be hit with a jab. Doesn't slip, doesn't block shots. And to be honest, he doesn't really have a ring IQ either. Whereas I feel like Zhili Zhang does have somewhat of a ring IQ. So going off recent form, we have to put Zhili Zhang as the favourite here. So Zhang, in my opinion, he beat Filip Hrgovic in their fight. So that was a close fight. Judges gave it to Hrgovic. I had it for Zhang. He knocked out Joe Joyce in the second fight. He stopped him in the first fight. Very impressive. And then against Joseph Parker, that was also a close fight. I think he dropped Parker twice, but he didn't get the decision. But either way, he's a live fighter. He's full of confidence, and he is, I would say he's in, sounds strange, but for a 41-year-old, he's in his prime right now. He's doing damage right now. He's very confident in his ability to knock anybody out. Guy's close to 300 pounds and can bang. So it's going to be a really hard night for Deontay Wilder. Wilder, in contrast, has looked like a complete shell of himself in the fight against Joseph Parker. Doesn't even look like the same guy. Barely threw a punch. Whatever he did didn't really look impactful at all. He's spending way too much time around Malik Scott, who's been leading him down the garden path with the spirituality nonsense and the ayahuasca nonsense. And what has he actually been teaching him? He's been trying to recreate him, quote unquote, as a fighter, make him more of a boxer. But I mean, yes, I do respect the fact he's trying to add some more fundamentals to Deontay Wilder's game. But what has he actually improved? Because we haven't seen anything from Wilder in that last fight. He didn't do anything better than what he used to previously do. So for me, Malik Scott is not a good corner man. He should not be the guy in Deontay Wilder's corner. Somebody like Mark Breland. I'm not saying Mark Breland was the best guy, but an old school type of boxing coach would be the best for somebody like Deontay Wilder. All of this new age nonsense is very bad for Deontay Wilder. Whenever I see him now, it's like he's reading off a script. Doesn't even look like the same guy. Fury kind of beat the stuffing out of him, but I thought he would have recovered. We saw him knock out Helenius, but to me, he looks like a completely different guy now. Shadow of his former self. And I heard Malik Scott after that Parker loss in an interview, and he sounded completely unbothered about the fact that his fighter was just lost in an embarrassing defeat. His fighter got embarrassed. He sounded completely unbothered. The guy is milking Wilder. He's a parasite. But you know what? Ultimately, it's Wilder who's in there. I just don't think he has it in him anymore. But having said that, he's always got the right hand to get him out of trouble. But I see Zhili Zhang stalking him, cutting him off with good footwork, little kind of head movement, block catching shots on his gloves, and eventually stopping him with a left hand down the pipe or even a right hook. But I could see him landing a big left hand on Wilder. We know about southpaw and orthodox. Straight backhands usually work very well. And I mean, the fact that he's a bigger man as well, he's just going to have that confidence to push Wilder back. And I don't see this going past 5 to 6 rounds. And I think it's going to be a stoppage for Zhili Zhang. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comments.